Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you so much for this opportunity to share some of our experiences here with you all. And thank you for your kind introduction, moderator. So first of all, I just want to acknowledge whatever I'm presenting is not my own slides, which we were trained by our university using the resources. So I'm using our university resources to share with you what we have been trained to become a good supervisors, especially for higher degree research programs. So there are some slides may not be relevant to your context, but yes, I'm sharing whatever we have back in Sydney. And before starting, I would like to remind one thing, and I just want to put in your mind that there's no any gold standard supervision. Actually, if you do the course or you follow whatever the materials and guidance, but it's still you can't say it's a gold standard and we can follow. No, mostly according to my experience, like it is case-based decision. We need overall idea how to supervise, but depends on the case by case. Maybe if you're supervising PhDs, different than maybe masters or bachelors. So this is again within the PhDs, again case-based decision we need to make in some certain situations, right? So we can't be satisfied by attending or by listening to a talk. So it's a gold standard we all can find and generalize to everyone. No, it is not the case. All right. So this is all of my talk today. Right. So I will start with, we all can be a good researcher. We may have a lot of publications, a lot of research experience, but that doesn't equals to become a good supervisor. Research is something else and supervision is something else. So, but all the good researchers cannot be good supervisors and vice versa. So it is again kind of art, kind of behavior, kind of skill. We slowly, gradually develop ourselves to become a good supervisor, right? So we are learning by supervising case by case, all those things, right? So we need to understand these basic things. We can be a researcher, but we may not be a good supervisor. Right. So I have a lot of interesting experiences from my supervisors and the people I supervise too, right? I'm putting this question to you. What are the positive you take from your own PhD experience or master thesis experiences? Then I will share some of the experience I got, good one and bad one. So then we can learn from that. So that is one learning curve for us to become a good supervisors. So please share with us what are the positive you take from your own PhD or master's thesis supervision or experiences. from your supervisors? Yes, please.
My PhD, my experience would be the way my supervisors encourage and regularly checked on me, but not micromanaging me. Because I think coming from another background, coming to a different country, it's so easy for you to feel ridiculed or minusculed by some supervisors who tend to be too fussy about little things and finicky about little things. So I think the positives is I can be an independent and mature learner and being given a safe space to do that. But they will regularly check in with me and let me know if I miss anything. And I think that's a great positive from my experience. Thank you, Dr. Shukri.
Thank you so much. That is an important point. Dr. Mutai mentioned that is uh, adult learning. So what we are going to do, PhDs and master student, they are adults. They are working group, right? So they are not like, should not be micromanaged. They should be like independently work, but we as a supervisors, we can guide them. We can guide them positively and then make them understand whatever the direction. So if they are, diverting from, the correct target, then we can correct them, put it back to the track. But if we are going to micromanage, that relationship between supervisor and the student going to be kind of unhappy. If student is unhappy, and then supervisor will also be unhappy, then the relationship between these supervisor and student may be not positive, and that makes some lot of issues in terms of even mentally, both will be like disturbed. So that is very important. From her supervisor, she got is like adult learners independently. We should let them do their work without micromanaging. Any other good experiences from your supervisors? Um, it can be masters or PhD supervisions. Yep.
Okay, I don't know whether it is positive or negative, but my supervisor, he always have us. It's like a personal approach. It means that I know that he knows that I already have a family and I also have two children and I also have a job, and he treated me uh, not like a usual students. So I think I don't know whether it is positive or negative side, but for me it is very helpful. Thank you.
Yes. Very good. Again, very good point to everybody to follow. Because, as I said earlier, the supervision is not like a gold standard way of following to supervise the students. It is individualized. For example, a family member with the two kids and then work commitments should be supervised accordingly, rather than a bachelor or a person who doesn't work and full time doing research. So this is again case by case. So yes, that is also very good example as a supervisors we can take in our supervision as a future supervisors. Yes.
Yeah, thank you very much. Well, I don't know if there are any positive things that I can share from my own PhD experience, because my own PhD took quite a long time. And right now, I don't have to disclose why it was long. But anyway, now I encountered the same thing. So my own PhD, I already supervise. It's now ongoing 2 students, and one of them is quite stuck in her proposal. But when I mentioned that, when I encourage her to be like progressing. And then she also said, but your own PhD take a long time. And then why should I make it faster? So it's like sometimes, yeah, I don't know how to balance between sharing personal experience and being a what is it, effective supervisor.
Yeah. Thank you so much. That is also very important. The important thing is like one of the challenge as a supervisors, uh, or effective or very good supervisor, we should able to complete the whatever the PhD MPhil on time, right? And then yes, as a students, they may have a lot of excuses. It doesn't mean that I am I am delayed in submission or complete my PhD. Doesn't mean like the same thing should be done by my students. So it shouldn't be the case. So I would say like we should able to like talk to that student very positive manner. Completing on time is good for them, not for a supervisor, right? Yeah, that is also good good sort of experience we can learn from Dr. Astri that yeah, supervision is always challenge, not like go to the bachelor class and then deliver a lecture and then like a very upper hand. No, it's always mutual because adults, we are dealing with adults, so dealing with mothers and fathers and many other people, they are adult learners. It's not easy, right? But we should learn while doing these things. Any other good experiences to share? Yes.
Thank you, Dr. Shukri. So I had a similar experience with Dr. Mutia to some extent when I did my master's. But the other thing that I'd like to bring up was, apart from the supervising aspect, my supervisor also had me shadowing a PhD student when I did my master's. I don't know to what extent it should have been, but in terms of the skills that I acquired, a lot were actually from shadowing the PhD students. But at the same time, she did took part a lot in the in meaning like she wasn't micromanaging or anything, but she would check on me on a regular basis and to see how I was doing. But the one thing that I really remember was, apart from that, she knew me as a student, but she always wanted to be sure of my well-being. Like, she knew that I was apart from my family. Yeah, I was in, my family was back home and all that. And she just also checked on that, although it wasn't like really frequent, but it was something that I appreciated from her.
Yeah. It's a very important point. So micromanaging, yeah, that is unfortunate. And then also shadowing, because there's a mentality in Western, I should admit that in Western culture, so they think like PhD is a very independent program as compared to MPhil or masters. So then they like, manage differently, but it's not the case. And second thing you mentioned is very important. As a supervisors, we don't need to like take them to the lunch or dinner and make them happy, but simple words every day or every other day, meeting your student and asking, how are you doing? How are your kids? And are they okay? Also, those small things regularly, if you ask, make them sure that they are happy, they are not stressed, they are not, overwhelmed with a lot of work and all those things, that make relieve their burden very a lot. So that is very important key point. Learn from here is like just to make sure, very simple, few words, 30 seconds every other day, asking how are you doing, so they should know background of the that you're a student, for example, how many kids they have, what they're studying and all those things. Then also you need to understand what they are more interested. For example, rather than you're in an academic discussion. For example, some students, they may like more on like talking about their kids' achievements. Some they may like more on like their gardening or something else. So you should understand what they are more interested. And then, once in a while, casual talk about their interested topic other than the PhD or content that make them like big relief. So that is important. You learn from your supervisor. Anything else to add? So as I said, there's no any 1, 2, 3 rule regulation. This all process of learning each other from our own experiences. Do you have anything to add? All right. So I would like to add something like, so some supervisors, I don't want to blame anyone, but some supervisors will say, I did my PhD. It was very tough. And I cried a lot. I was like, many nights I was not sleeping. So it was like a hard time ever in my life. So I really felt I did a PhD. Now I'm very good professor, this and that. And so my PhD students, my MPhil students should go through the same pain. Do you think it's good sort of approach? No, but some suppose I heard like they're saying, I did this, I did these sacrifices, this and that. Yes, you did. That is good. You molded and you learned, but it is not necessary. Whatever the hardship and the rough path you went through shouldn't be the case to do the same thing with your students. So so sometimes like I cried, so my student should cry. No, it is not the case. So that sort of mentality should not be there when we are supervising. Always the pleasant environment, right? The very good understanding with the student and then the supervisor, that makes smooth progress rather than like intentionally putting some burden, make them cry, make them like overwhelmed and then, stressed and this and that. So this is not the appropriate supervision. But some kind of supervisor always reminding the student, I did this. No, you should not even remind, I did. How you did, this is your learning, your path you went through. But that is not the case to put that one back to your student. Before going to next stage, then I have few good experiences from my supervisor, which from University of Sydney. So my supervisor she was a qualitative person, but most of my PhD was quantitative this thing, but she managed to supervise very well. But she connected me with many potential resource people who are working on different areas, which I am doing, so that I could learn. I could learn much more than learning from my own supervisor. Doesn't matter, you are a qualitative person, you are supervising a quantitative project, doesn't matter, still you can do, you know the content, you know the background and all these things, but you need to make sure the student also should learn something. To learn that one, you should be able to connect them with appropriate person, right? If you don't have that expertise, if you're supervising, still you should be able to connect them with the correct person. So that one was very good experience I got from my supervisor when she was supervising me. Whatever the areas I was connected, that connection made me to establish further collaboration and publications, also my current job through that connection. So that is kind of things we need to be able to connect our students, thinking of sharpening their expertise through right connections. Sorry. So before going to the supervision expectations, as a faculty, there should be some expectations. So there are 3 parties involved in the supervision, not only just supervisor and the student. So from the faculty, supervisor perspective, and also student part. So I will start with few points what faculty should do for having a good relationship and good supervision towards progress of this program. So number one, treat the student and supervisor fairly and respect always. So from the faculty, the both students and because they are, so I mean, as a faculty member, as a supervisor, supervisors also like they have their teaching, supervision, publication, research, family, and so many things they are going through, right? Then faculty also should support them, morally and help them in order to have a good relationship and also encourage them toward positive way. So, and then number two, provide the training opportunity for HTL candidates and supervisors. So whatever the training needed for supervision, like this one, also higher degree research student, they need some statistics sort of training or some qualitative or quantitative research training. So faculty should be able to arrange maybe annually or quarterly or semester basis, some sort of training, or supervisor needs some training himself or herself. So faculty should be able to support overall towards a good supervision. And then provide administrative support, facility time, and completion of candidation, including appropriate progress review. Yeah, so supervisor will do their part with the student, but there should be faculty-wise some kind of progress review, maybe. So in the Faculty of Medicine and Health at the University of Sydney, we have like an annual progress review. Annually, I go to review committee and they review me, how you do with this, are you okay, your supervision, what do you need, what are the training you need. They ask from me as a supervisor. Also, they the faculty call a student and then interview the student. Are you okay with your supervisor? Are you going well with the supervisor? What is your progress? Very positive way. And then you need any help, you need any support, any training. So the support should be given to the supervisor and also student. Also, it should be reviewed. Sometime, if like we just leave, maybe at the end of that second year, there's no progress or student is not ready, going to be a problem, right? So if faculty knows, or maybe some committee, they are reviewing these things and they know, then they need to jump in. Okay, you need to speed up. You need to do this, or any support or any, sometime, some research, they're stuck in the ethics. Or some stuck in the maybe material receiving for experiment or something else. So faculty can jump in and help them to resolve by having like frequent review meetings. So that's where faculty can support toward a smooth progression of the what you call supervision. So support again in terms of resources. And also education and tools, like, as a faculty, you also we can have kind of some software, some, statistic softwares, or some access to some journals with a, kind of discounted way, so that if you can help with those resources, that is also beneficial for a student as well as the supervisor. And then there are some expectations from students as well. So students, we can't just say, supervisor should be very good. Doesn't matter how the student, no. From the beginning, I think this is a responsibility of the supervisor as well as faculty or department. You should there should be programs for beginners from the beginning, like how they support, what are the expectations from the student. It should be very clear, very clearly articulated to the student from the beginning. For example, so there should be a codes and ethics and rules and regulation university perspective. So the student should be aware from day one before they starting their research. So it should be clearly mentioned to the student from the beginning. Number two, be respectful, and they are dealing with their fellow students and supervisors and co-workers at the faculty. So the respect and then collegiateness is always makes a good environment. So we know, like, students from overseas or students from other different cultures, they can come to your faculty, and that is maybe not, synchronized with your culture or your mentality, your way of doing things. So, but it should be very clear from the beginning, doesn't matter from where the student is coming, but they should able to understand the culture, understand the requirements, understand the, whatever the things happening here. So should able to follow the things accordingly, and also they should able to work with all the parties, not only just with the supervisor and other, is because supervisor is just supervising the student, but they have to deal with other students, peers, also maybe lab workers or other workers in the faculty and other lecturers and other people. So they should able to have a very good relationship with everyone. That is very important. So that should be to them from the beginning. And maintain the regular contact with their lead supervision and with the emphasis of communication. So student will be clearly mentioned, like at least weekly discussion with their supervisors, at least once a week. So according to from the earlier parts, first year, maybe every week is highly encouraged, and then they should have minutes what they have discussed and all those things. So frequent meetings with the supervisor, and at least annually meeting with the faculty board or something like that. And also one of the important things, as I went through, and also many students sharing, frequent meeting with the supervisor and student encourage. This is one of the motivation for students to do work. For example, if you are meeting every 2 months, maybe student may work last week before the meeting. But if you have every week, it will push the student to work more. Tomorrow I have meeting, next week I have meeting, so I had to have my progress, and I had to do this thing, that thing. So that is kind of motivation for students to have their work done on time by meeting them and checking with them progress. But this is not like even if they haven't done their work or their task, it's still not a problem. But meeting with them is encourage them to do so. And also I forgot to mention, but I think I say in the supervisor's part, but I will just mention from the beginning, you should have an annual plan with a student. So progress plan, and then it should be the overall plan for a year, and then break down monthly or something like that, so that you can follow with them how you progress slowly, gradually. So that is very well structured. And also sometimes some students are very realistic or over realistic, I can say, or over ambitious. They put, I can publish 4 papers, I can do this, that, but you have to hold on. No, we don't need 4 papers. We need quality work, realistic work, not over ambitious things. So as a supervisor, as a student, they may come a lot of very great ideas. So my own way, when I met, I went first meeting with my supervisor as a student, PhD student. I had a very big plan, and I was so ambitious, so happy. Okay, I'm doing my PhD. First meeting, we had like a 1.5 hour meeting. I was explaining, this. And she said, okay, very good, but you will do only this part. Honestly, I did my PhD within 3.5 years. Since then, I've been working on the same areas. Still, I didn't complete my whole PhD plan. I did explain to her very first day. Now, after PhD, 6 years passed, 7 years passed, 6 years passed, but still I haven't completed my original PhD plan. So as an, kind of over-ambitious student, they can come to you and explain to you at the big project, but you should be able to differentiate, okay, what is the master level project? What is the PhD level? Accordingly, you can shape it up. That is your role to understand. Always, we have to care. Students should report their progress, and also guidance offered by and appreciate and acknowledge. We have to clearly mention, whatever progress is should be acknowledged. The the supervisor should be acknowledged all their work and progress, because this is the key person who is helping with the student. Sometimes, if it is not clear for them, maybe they will end up I have done all these things. No, the backbone is the supervisor for HTR student. So they should able to acknowledge whatever they do. Acknowledge. They should able to acknowledge their supervisors. And then further, so they should be, again, whatever the PhD or research is a roller coaster work. It's not just a smooth work. So maybe first couple of months always going up because they are so motivated. But when after maybe second year, then roller coaster goes down, then maybe a little bit up. It's like a roller coaster. So we should able to like motivate or encourage students to complete the task timely manner. Or maybe you can break down into small pieces. Okay, this task, this for this period, something like that. And always, as I said, the students will be from different culture, different diverse community, and diverse exposure and experiences. But they should able to be collegial with supervisor and peers and staff, and then with the professional and then ethics way, and then always should acknowledge the support given by supervisors, and then conduct their research with integrity. So it is very important part. So the main part is now, what is the role of supervisors? As a supervisor, with the support of faculty, also with the right mental set of students, we should able to always adhere the university code and conduct. That is very important. We can't go beyond the university's policies and regulations. We always comply to that, number one. Number two, again, be respectful, fair. They are dealing with their students and co-workers and faculty. So we should be fair with everyone. Doesn't matter you are dealing with the master students or PhD students. It should be fair according to their requirements and their progress and all those things, right? And yeah, make sure you are the first contact person with a student. So you should make sure your students, your PhD and MPhil students should have all the resources required for them to do the work. It can be by yourself helping with them or connecting with other resource people or resources or potential people. So again, as I said earlier as well, students also encouraged to meet the people, what you call student, and you should able to take time, right? First point, you should able to make some time every week or every fortnight. I highly encourage first year should be every week, and then maybe down the line when the student is on track, then you can go back to like fortnight meetings. But initially, at least every week, you should able to commit at least 1 hour to discuss about progress and guide the students, so that will make very good progress towards the goal. And then so many students, as I said, many students may have different ideas, but as a supervisor, we should be able to work with them and design a clear plan and aim method and process outputs and entire degree review on within 6-month basis, and then review them like their progress. So according to whatever the research ideas student may have, but we should have capacity to understand the requirements and then capacity and the requirements. Accordingly, we need to able to tailor the project which is feasible and then fulfill the requirements to complete the degree. And then always offer student guidance, best means of engage in the wide scientific community. That is very important. Sometimes, some of the supervisors I can see like, they are a bit reluctant to introduce their own student to maybe their bosses or some people like renowned in the community or in the field. So no, shouldn't be a case. You should able to always open to your students, get some opportunity, introduce them to other people, other resource people, other relevant contacts, so that they learn from them as well. Also, that may create some opportunity. So this is the kind of your role, make them like, while you are doing your PhD, supervising your PhD or master student, should be able to think beyond by connecting them with the right people. And whatever, sometimes as a supervisors, we go to conferences and we present their work, but it should be appropriately acknowledged. So acknowledgement should be there. Whatever you guide is your part, but whenever you are presenting or whenever you are publishing their work, there should be appropriately acknowledged, or authorship should be given to them. And then provide the student with the opportunity to generate outputs and then demonstrate impact of research. Yeah, always research is not just to, within the thesis or whatever final outcome. It should be beyond that, right? Should be able to generate a proper outcome like research publications, conference presentation, or impactful research to the society or community. That should be there. What time you should finish?
You have 2 minutes left.
Oh. So, and also one of the important things, like, whatever the pharmacist, if it's a pharmacist student, the medical students or public health, so we should able to encourage them to, like, touch with like professional organizations, like, maybe pharmacy council or pharmacy society or medical society. So they should able, so from beginning, they should encourage them to, link or get membership or work with them so that they learn from them as well. So all is learning curves. Right, so there's some typo. So what I mean here, actually, now from University of Sydney, it is allowed only 5 students to be, like, I can supervise only 5 students at a time. So student can send a lot of emails. I like to be, I want you to be like your student. Can you supervise? But you should able to understand your capacity. Accordingly, you need to accept. Otherwise, you commit like 10 students, 15 students. Okay, every project's interested. I will do. And then end up like, so many students. And then you are beyond your capacity, beyond your expectation, and beyond your requirements of your university. If you accept more students than your capacity, that is going to be a disaster again, right? There should be a cap according to your capacity, right? So a student should able to, you should able to supervise within your capacity, not a lot of students. Like maybe all the projects, sometimes you may receive a lot of emails from different students. They all may be interested, but you should able to understand your limit, your capacity, because all of us, we are struggling with the time, right? So whatever supervision should be done within the capacity. Otherwise, if you overcommitted, then it's going to be disaster for you, because you will be ended up like a lot of issues with your other things and other teaching and all those things. Plus, student may be dragged with their publication, their completion and research project. So this is going to be very big disaster. So please try to get number of students according to your requirements, and then faculty's requirements and your capacity. So we will continue the rest later. Thank you so much for your kind attention.
Thank you very much, Dr. Shukry. Okay, it's very kind presentation, and from Dr. Shukry presentation or material, we know that a supervisor have responsibilities. Let me say the important thing I noted. Being a supervisor is always challenge. There is no gold standard as a supervisor, but it's case by case. Supervisor have responsibilities and need a faculty support to create a good supervisor. Okay, let's enter the next session is a question and answer session. Maybe there is a question from the audience to Dr. Shukry. Dr. Shukry, please come forward. Is there any question? Okay, please, Dr. Hagni.
Thank you, Dr. Sukri. Very nice presentation. According to you, we should make a timeline to supervise our student. Which what kind of operationally, how do we make the schedule? What kind is there any certain form or formal document that issued by the faculty to make that kind of arrangement? Thank you very much.
All right. Yeah, it's an important question. Thank you so much for raising this question. Yeah, actually, it's depend on your faculty and your university. But come back to my university, what we do, we have a task like at University of Sydney, we should able to complete our students' proposal or protocol by end of first year. So end of first year, there's a review by a faculty. So by that time, for example, students started March, by next March should be completed the protocol, right? So we should able to now, so that is requirements. And the second requirements from the faculty is by second year, if PhD, by second year, at least one publication second year. So and then at least one conference presentation by end of second year. Third year, another international conference presentation, and total at least one publication, to one local, one international conference presentation. So accordingly, we need to plan. Like, okay, what I usually do, I have PhD students now. So from first few weeks, discussing and so keeping these things in mind. Okay, well, when are you going to finish your literature review? When you are coming with this, when you are coming up with your first sort of protocol and then completing, and there will be like first time when you're dealing with the PhD students, it will be 10, 20 times back and forth review will be there. So keeping all this in your mind, you need to have a clear setup. Okay, protocol completed by 10 months time. So then to complete this one, literature review maybe 4 months time, and then other things, first draft maybe 6 months time. So then giving all realistic timing, you need to plan. So it's according to requirements and this thing. And the second publication, second year, end of second year. So by end of first year, should be able to submit the ethics. So that is the second thing. Ethics submission and then data collection. So based on the milestone, you should able to have a clear kind of path. There's no any template, but we work with a student and we have annual plan, overall plan, annual plan, and monthly plans. So that way we work, and that I feel like really productive. And then some ambitious students, they do more than that, more than required. For example, my student published and then also got some grant, and then also some kind of conference, not only presenting, but sharing a conference session. So there are some students extraordinary, they do more. but at least we need to plan like a basic things for 1, 2 years, 3 years overall, and then annually, and then at least monthly as per milestones. That's what we do. It's again based on the requirements and then things and nature of the study, what you do with your students.
Thank you, the answer, Dr. Shukry. Is it enough, Dr. Hagni? Okay, maybe any other question from the others? Okay, Bu Aini, please.
Okay, thank you. I just wondering, in your opinion, is it good for a supervisor if at the first time we have a contract with the students, we only do maybe 10%, and then we finish before the timeline, and then the supervisor will give another job to finish. In your opinion, is it good or bad? Thank you.
This is my own opinion. But my understanding, research project is research student work, not our work. As a supervisor, we are guiding them on a right track and then guiding them with the resources and shaping their work and all the things. So they should drive the program, not we. We, okay, do this, do this. This is, for me personally, it depends on supervisor to supervisor, but personally for me, it's kind of spoon feeding. Do this, that, okay, do this. No, I won't do personally. I will say, this is your project. You should have overall idea what you are doing, and then your milestones, then you do accordingly. You show us, okay, you have to achieve, okay, by this time. So clear milestone, overall plan, and you drive the show. We will be there to guide you, shape you, put in your track if you are going, here and there. So we push them to track. So that is my opinion. But yeah, maybe different strategies may work differently. But I would say you are the driver. You need to drive the show, not me. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, Dr. Mutia, yes.
In relevance to that, I think managing research project is something that needs to be underlined. And I think I would like to ask your opinion, because I think in Indonesian academic culture, if I could say, it goes both ways, that the candidates, the HDR candidates, probably have less independence, and on the supervisory panel side, less trust in their candidates. My question is, because you have the experience in both supervising students in Australia as well as in Asian countries, what would be the better way to address or bridge the gap if you have a supervisory panel, if you're the first supervisor, the second supervisor, secondary supervisor, and then your teammate acted like that? Do you have suggestion for us maybe? Because I probably would come from a different point of view than some of my other colleagues who probably have different experience during their learning years. Yeah.
I'm not clear. Like, so what you want to ask is, if a student is less independent, and then
your partner in the supervisory panel tend to be less tend to have less trust in the student, and you're kind of in the middle. What should you do?
Okay.
I would say.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. So, so my opinion is kind of not a like a, it's a like a very transparent process. It's a professional work we do and should be very transparent. There's no any hidden things between you, co-supervisor and student in terms of research. Should be very transparent. Everybody should know what they do, what's the end point, end task. So then I would rather, yeah, I feel like if we are supervising a PhD or adult learner who is a MPhil candidate, so I would say I won't doubt, but I would keep an eye, and I have many ways to track them. I have many ways to track them in their progress and then in integrity of the work and all those things. Even like, you know, for example, if I develop a questionnaire for a survey or something like that, I have my own way of tracking random responses, something like that. I should able to track them as a supervisor, how their integrity and their way of doing things. And also I should open to all the panel, supervisory panel, to that student and very transparent so that I hope everybody can come to one sort of agreement openly. You know, I won't talk individually. Okay, first student, and I will talk openly and positive way so that we can understand each other. Sometimes very minor dispute or misunderstanding or some different understanding of the, you know, because if I talk, sometimes one can understand something and others can understand differently. So if you talk all and then clarify the, you know, doubts or, you know, whatever issues, I believe it won't be an issue. But again, cultural context is should be prioritized. So I'm not sure. But of course, if I supervise a bachelor student, I feel still like I feel I'll be strict, and then I will go behind them most of the time, make sure they are doing well and well in terms of research. But for masters and PhD, I will have some, you know, things to, you know, check, but not like micromanaging or like doubting their work unless I really found something, you know, issues with the integrity of their own work. So it's, I said, like, it's not a black and white answer. It's all, you know, according to the situation, culture, and context.
Please welcome again Dr. Shukry. He will present about the ethical principles and academic standards in supervising students. You have 30 minutes for your presentation, please.
Thank you so much. And I hope it's the end of the day. Everybody's kind of drowsy, tired. Yeah. So I will make my presentation a brief one, and I hope I can make you like actively participate and engage with this presentation. Right. My apologies if I repeat the same thing, if the profile you already mentioned. So sometimes the topics are always overlapping, so I will try my level best to be very brief. But again, my apologies if I'm repeating the same thing if already mentioned by profile. Yeah. Right. So you are a supervisor. Normally what happens, like you get a lot of emails every week, potentially, like from potential students all over the world, like, I have seen you have this thing, this. Can I be your supervisor? Can I be your student? Right? So for example, if you get something like an email or letter from a student, number one, how do you respond? And then what factors do you need to take into count before taking a student under your supervision? Yes, I need your responses for this email you received from a new potential student who wants to do thesis, MPhil thesis or master's thesis under your supervision. So he's approaching or she's approaching you. So what is your response? And then what are the factors you may consider before accepting this student? Sorry? Okay, get the CV, yes. Get to know more about the student. Yes, what else you going to consider? Yeah, so have a discussion, maybe face to face, or if it is international student, maybe you can have a Zoom meeting with the student and then understand more about what the student wants to do and what is the research background and what is the interested area of that student. What else? What else you would ask, you would know or consider?
The number of students that we currently already have under their supervision, and also perhaps funding or how much support that we can provide.
Yes. Number of students we have and the maximum capacity we can have, and also funding, based on whatever the research projects, because we cannot blindly accept the students, and then if there's no funding, and it's be a disaster later on. Especially like, a student with a good research project, but still without funding, we can't do anything. So we can't pay from out of pocket, or student may not able to bear unless there's a funding or funding arrangement. Number two is our capacity. If already we have 5 students or whatever the capacity we are full, then no way of getting that may impact the student, also your performance, right? What else? Anything else you want to consider before accepting a new student, or anything you want to know further?
Takes time. Research duration.
Again?
Probably it takes more than your study period time over the limit.
Your research, again, sorry.
Uh,
Maybe about the research of the student, is it taking a longer time? So that's the first question. Maybe it will be asked.
Yeah. So about the research and how long it may take. Yeah, of course, student, student come with the big projects or big plans, but if we understand the project and plan, if everything is okay, then we can tailor it. We can adjust it according to the requirement for MPhil or PhD. Anything else? Do you have something to say? Yeah, so we have to understand the student, so we may look for or ask for the student CV. Yes. Anything else? All right. So as I mentioned, like the time. Do you have time? Do I have time, enough time to supervise any student? Energy to take another student, and then I mean, they are not like a free laborers. They can't just come and work without any incentives or anything. Because sometimes if they are full-time student, they may not do the work. So we need to, because they may more enthusiastic and come and start the study. But at the end, no job, no money, and then it's going to be again disaster. So they can't be like come and work free as a free labor. So there should be an arrangement, or maybe some research incentives or something like that. The scholarship incentives should be considered, not only just research project. So yes, you mentioned clearly, like you need to have a proper conversation and contact with the patient, student, and then understand the situation, then research ideas and background, so that you can decide whether it's suitable for you to supervise. And research proposal, of course, at this stage, at the beginning or initial stage, we don't ask them to like send a big proposal, all the details and all these things, but maybe summary of reflection of their plan, maybe 2-page proposal. Normally for University of Sydney, we ask like 2-page proposal, not all the details and methods and all, right? And then make sure their expectation and your expectation as a supervisor are matching and this clear. And always, remember time is ticking, and then right from the start. So you need to be very clear about the time frame and the finishing and focus and plans. Right. So before agreeing again, so these are still understanding about the new student. Before agreeing, so you need to have a few things like, are you ready, registered as a supervisor? Maybe it's depend on your requirement. For certain universities, first you have to register as a pool of supervisors in that university. So if it's the same case here at your university, then you have to be registered as a supervisor first. And then your preparedness and availability, of course. And then any conflict of interest, yeah, it is also important. We can't supervise our spouse or our children or our boyfriend or girlfriend or relative. That is a conflict of interest. So we have to make sure there's no any conflict of interest in terms of supervision. And also, yes, as clearly mentioned, number of students you already supervise, and then your capacity for supervise a new student. So this is your part. You first understand about the student capacity, student availability, and funding, this and that, and then compare, check with yourself whether you are ready for that. If the student is matching and the research interest is okay with you, you have your expertise, then these are the things you need to consider. And then issues, are there resources, including funding, facilities available for the student? So everything is okay, but it's still no funding, then no point of getting the student to do the work, right? So funding is important. And then the student's motive, the student, capable of undertaking the projects. Yeah, so maybe get them to get some proposal written and understand. So from the proposal, initial proposal, you can easily understand whether she or he is capable of doing some research, also looking at like their publications, if they already have done any. And the likely time scale of the project, and then projects feasible for scientific perspective and recruitment participation and so on. So sometimes like students have very good projects, but it's not feasible to conduct within a year or 2 or 3, according to the research, then again is an issue. So we need to consider all those things. So students' expectation. There are 2 types of students you may end up supervising. Number 1, student with a few and no expectations. They're more expectant. They are 100% independent. So they think they know everything, and they are so independent and try to be like very smart. And then some students are like with many expectations. They want each and everything, guided, and maybe less independent, more dependent. So these are 2 extremes. So should be like you need to be able to get them into middle, right? The student generally expect to obtain their degree, expect their supervisor will help them to get this degree. So it should be like managed in between. They have partially dependent. You can't be 100% independent and 100% dependent. So both extreme areas. And then also the problem always comes up with like, when between the supervisor's expectations and then students' expectations are not matching. So should able to work it out, what both parties' expectation and then ultimate goal. this is just like a slide to compare a contract. It's a PhD, is a kind of contract with like compare PhD and marriage. So it's more relevant to marriage contract and PhD contract, and then further down. So meeting reasonable expectations. Yeah, once you commit, then there are certain expectations should be met. So as I said, there should be a balance between what they want and need, and student what you want and you need from them. So there should be wants and need. Both parties should be balanced. And then, as we discussed earlier, too micromanagement is also disaster, not healthy. And then also too free. I mean, 100% like free, no management at all. That is also disaster. When you're supervising, there should not be micromanaging, also too independent. So it should be kind of balanced way of supervision. So if you are putting each and everything, into the question to the student, that's not a healthy supervisor-student relationship. Also, we just leave everything without any management, any sort of super discussion. That is also not a healthy supervisor-student relationship. So it should be balanced in between. So let's say you agree with a student to supervise, then in the initial stage, there are certain things you need to consider. Number one, helping the student to define the research problem, aim, and question. This is like a base. First, you put the base strongly with the student, with a correct understanding of the research problem, and then come up with the strong research questions and objectives. Then it's easier to go ahead. So you need to spend more time, discuss, ask the student to do more research, more literature research, more discussion with other experts, and come up with a strong solution or research question for the problem. Right? That is very important. You need to spend a lot of time on understanding the problem and coming up with a research question based on the problem. That can be done by literature review, discussion with expert, and this and that. So students should do all these things with your guidance. Help the students develop the overall research work plan and time frame and establish good work practices. So at front, like from the beginning, should be a proper defined time frame. So what are the things to be done? Every student should be very clear. Supervisor should be very clear what are the steps to be done, when to be completed. And then from beginning, from the stage, the beginning of this initial stage of the supervision, you should able to guide them to read and then improve their skills and knowledge about the research area. So able to help them with the appropriate reading materials. Normally, I usually have some kind of how to be a good PhD student. I have books. Then how to be a good, written by very good authors. So I used to lend them, like ask them to read first. So before doing any research, I lend the book. Okay, you keep this book for a couple of months and read and understand how to be a good student. So this may help. So not only research, but also to be a good student. So maybe you can help them with the research articles or any relevant reading so that they are prepared themselves beforehand. So helping the students to choose and then devise an appropriate methodology and understanding of the, based on the questions, you need to help them to understand the methods and, start coming up with the methodology and then ethics, preparing for ethics. And also at the initial stage, you should encourage them to write, because at the end, you should not wait until last minute or end of all the data collected and start writing, because sometimes you don't know the student's writing skill is very poor. So they need some time to improve. So from beginning, you start asking them to write. Maybe start with okay, you write the proposal, do the systematic review, or write the literature review, and you can assess and help them to improve their academic writing. So writing should be started from the beginning, so that you won't end up like having problem with, improving writing is at the end of the project, so that it will be like impacting the progress. And then, so those are at the beginning. So agreed, now you are kind of now in the middle. So you initiated the project with the student. Now, when you are in the middle, what sort of things you need to consider, right? So advising student on the practical aspect of data collection and data management. Data collection, data management is very important. And then data privacy is important. Maybe most of the time health professional dealing with the patient's data. So data privacy, data management, they should do all the relevant training on data management and then follow strictly with the patient data. So those things should be well trained. The student should be well trained. And then also student intellectual aspect of data and data analysis, that is important. And helping students see the progress and then maintain their focus. Of course, I said earlier, the PhD journey is a roller coaster, not like accelerating or smooth. So always up and down. So as a supervisor, you should be able to push them all the time, help them. Whenever they are down, you should be able to help them to accelerate and then maintain the progress. So that is important role we play, especially if it happen like very first year, couple of months, or whole first year, always they are going up because they are so energetic, so interested. But when they get tired after end of the second year, then it goes down. So that is the crucial time. You need to work it out, help the student to, come or maintain the progress. Yeah, so same thing, and maintain the enthusiasm in the project and overload, and then data overload and other difficulties. So as I said earlier, so start from beginning writing and all those things. Otherwise, data collection, data analysis, writing, if all together, and also presenting in the conference. So because when they're in the second year, they will need to like present and do many other things. They'll be very busy. So if you manage the time, appropriately from the beginning, some, training on writing and start writing from end of the first year, it will help to manage the second year or in the middle of their career very well. Okay, once, middle stage is done, now the final stage. When they're in the final stage of their program, so these are the few things you may consider. Advice system, the way of, structuring and synthesizing the work into cohesive way. So we have collected the data now, cohesive way of putting them together, maybe in the different publications and the thesis. And then students learn, revise, edit, proofread, format, preparing for the submission. So this may take time. Edit, you give comment, edit. So and again, there are supervisors, they deal differently. For example, if the student send you the manuscript chapter of a thesis, maybe they send chapter by chapter. So you are receiving a chapter. So the commenting on chapter is also important. So from your comment, they should able to learn rather than you write for them. For example, they send you the chapter, then you find many things, many kind of inconsistency or some issues. You should not edit that one. Rather, you comment on that. They have to learn. They need to correct, and they need to come up with the new version. Rather than spoon feeding, you should able to make them learn. So this is a research project. So we believe if a person is completing a PhD, it means like a big project management he or she does. So you should able to guide them appropriately, not like, helping them in writing or editing this thing. Your role is not only supervising, not to helping them in terms of writing or anything like that. And then consider potential examiners. Yes, it is also important part, when the end of these things, according to certain university requirements, you need to send the thesis to external examiners. right? So we need to identify the potential examiners, not just randomly sending the examiners like, this is my friend, so he can do it or she can. No, you should find like, that external examiner process is also kind of learning for the student. So we have to find the potential persons who can, critically assess the thesis of your student, and you identify, and then you need to send, not like just sending to your friend or a person who know, or colleagues or previous colleague. No, not support, should be not like that. Should be like someone who can critically evaluate, assess the writing of your student. Should be the external examiners or internal examiners. And also throughout this process, from middle of the career of the student, publishing and then career pathways, you need to work on that. So that is not at the end, but from middle, you should be able to help them with the career path, what is next, and also publication process. Now, what a student wants, right? So to answer this question, you need to think of when you were a student, when you were PhD, so what, or when you were MPhil or master's, what you wanted from your supervisor at the past. So that if you think of that way, then you can easily understand, empathy of the student, help them accordingly. So when I was a student, maybe I was isolated. So I didn't have any courage, or any supervisor was like not caring me. So those things, if you know, or these are the negative things I experienced, then you can, think of that way and help your student. That is an easy way of handling a student or understanding the students, what students need. So just go back to your own career and then avoid those disappointment or hard times you experience. So some of them are here feel like you feel interested in their work and care about them. So they want you to interest on their work and care their work. Even if it's a small thing, you should appreciate. It doesn't matter how small it is, because they want that appreciation from their supervisor. And also they want to impress you. So you should accept that and able to accordingly react. And also they want to feel part of your research culture. Even a small project doesn't matter, but it should be part of your small research culture. You should accept them, right? So care them and also make sure they are doing well. So these are the few things you need to consider, student perspective of what student wanted from a supervisor. So this is also very important, warning signs. So if you're able to identify the warning signs in the progress of the student, that will help many ways to fix the problem in advance, rather, giving up, or rather, regretting at the end. So some of the warning signs, like, students constantly changing their topic or work plan. It means they are not understanding, or they are not confident enough on their project. So that is a warning sign. You need to work it out, or you need to get some help from the faculty or something like that. That is important to finalize, because if keep changing the topic, is not going to end, we can't make a appropriate decision. And so avoiding you. They don't want to meet you. They want to have a meeting. There's something going wrong. So that should be kind of warning sign you need to consider. And then go to the student and talk to them and make them open discussion and fix the problem, right? Also the other way around. If you doesn't want to meet the student, you are avoiding the student, that is also a problem. There is also a warning sign. You may not have some time, or you are not interested in the topic of that student, so you are avoiding. So that is also not healthy student supervisor relationship, both way. So those are the red signals of consideration. And the student is isolating themselves from department and other students. That is also warning sign. They don't want to discuss or mingle around and talk with the staff and the peers in the faculty. So there's something going on. And then So the student, avoid submitting their work to you on time or something, or delaying or some excuses, then you need to consider. It is not limited to these points, maybe more. And also depend on the situation, they may be different, right? So these are some of the warnings, and you may end up maybe differently. So for all these issues or warnings, the easiest solution is good communication. Good passive or positive communication with a student. So any warning sign doesn't mean like you should go and, you are doing this, then complaining. No, it's a kind of understanding, and good communication will fix the problem. So always good communication. Prevention is better than cure. So if you see any warning, call the student, have a very clear, open conversation and positive conversation that can fix the problem advanced, rather than everything is done, time is already finished, then it can't be fixed. So if you understand through communication the problem, then you can have a proper early intervention so that you can resolve the problem. Even sometimes the supervisor himself or herself is the problem. So then they can change the supervisor. It's not offended like changing the supervisor, because sometimes, wrong choice. Maybe you are not matching, or you are not understanding, or chemistry is not working, always conflict. So that can be a problem. Student is good, but supervisor is the problem. So they can change the supervisor too. Changing the supervisor is not offended to the supervisor. It's a kind of understanding of maybe the communication is not good with the supervisor and the student, so that they need to change, or maybe understanding of the problem is different with both parties, so can be fixed. Then also students and the supervisors, both should have kind of annual progress meetings with their faculty, dean, or somebody in charge of. So that way both can improve. So that is also important, reviewing the progress periodically. And then there are some ethical principles you should also consider when supervising a student. Number one, integrity of research. That is a key part to play around. I will discuss this in the next slide. Also confidentiality of the work. Sometimes even it's your own student work, but you have to maintain the confidentiality. Because sometimes you are discussing the work with everyone, that then ended up like that, maybe kind of ended up like negatively impacting the student. So I hope you understand like negative impact, because many cases like that, like supervisor discussed the project with many colleagues in detail, and then those colleagues, they did the job before the student finishing the job. So the confidentiality of the work, and also confidentiality of the student should be maintained, all the personal details and personal kind of things. And then also the relation should be only supervisor and student, not beyond that. So always maintain the relationship between student and a teacher or supervisor. We have many cases like, as I started as a student supervisor, and the supervisor got divorced and got married to the student. So these kind of things should not be happen, but it is very common in Western culture. So then that supervisor anymore, not supervisor, now spouse. So then that is, distracting and delaying the process. So if you maintain the relationship as a student and the teacher or supervisor, that is the healthy relationship always you can maintain. Also very friendly, open relationship, but the gap should be there. Also dual relationship is not like one side. So you can also, because if you share your things, then a student can share their things. So kind of two-way relationship should be there. So research integrity also important in terms of data collection, also citing the others' work. And also these days, the AI is there making a lot of challenge in terms of originality of the work. So whatever they still can, so according to University of Sydney, they can use the AI, but there should be not generating things, but checking the things. For example, you're writing something, you can check the quality of writing, all those things. That is more on AI help rather than AI is doing everything, AI thinking for you, not like that. But and also plagiarism should be avoided. So whatever others' work should be cited accordingly, not like claiming others' work as a student work. Should be very clear. There are so many workshops provided by universities to understand what is plagiarism, what is how extent they can go for getting help from AI, all those things. So should be considered. So how do you unreasonable expectations? So you can't expect unreasonably from the students. So that may ended up some issues. Like for example, unreasonable expectation like lack of knowledge or experience, access to inaccurate information, or previous extreme or experiences either students, supervisor. Also one of the important thing is as a supervisor, if you are supervising few students at a time, you should not discuss one student's whole thing with other students. There should be, confidentiality should be maintained. So that is also important. And also the expectation should be appropriate. And then there are some supervisors have some myth like, if you publish only good research, or if you get negative results, it's not good research, something like that. So those myths should be avoided. Negative results is acceptable. So that is not bad research. Those, if your student has got some negative results or negative outcome, that's fine. Then that meaning like the student, nobody should try this one anymore because this won't work. Or this is not positive. This will not work. This is also important message. So maybe some journals may not publish these negative results, but it still is important piece of findings. Also, it should be included in the publications. With that, I'm concluding. Thank you so much for your time. And yeah, that's all. Happy to discuss if you have any questions. Thank you.
Applause untuk please give an applause to Dr. Shukry. Thank you very much, Dr. Shukry. Please have a seat, please. Okay. Although in here there's a little audience, but in the Zoom room there's about 30 audience still in the Zoom room. Okay. For your according to your presentation, make some note about your material that before decide as a supervisor, we have to prepare our register supervisor as a supervisor, and about our preparedness and availability. Is there any conflict of interest or not? Number of students that we have. And the second one, before make an agreement between we as a supervisor and a student, should do a meeting or discussion and discuss about some issues. The third one is there are an approaches or things that we have to do in every stage of mentoring project, in initial, middle, or in final stage. And as a supervisor, we should know about warning sign of the student. And if there is happen, we have to do a communication, a good communication between a supervisor and a student. And the last one is we should consider about ethical principles, research integrity, and plagiarism. Okay, next we enter the discussion session. Maybe there's a question from the audience in here or maybe in a Zoom room. Please raise your hand.
Presentation. Makasih. before you talked about a lot about the dynamic between student and supervisor. I'm also curious about, because here in our faculty, since from the bachelor or undergraduate medical students, they do have to do a research, and it's usually supervised. Well, it's not usually, it's supervised by two supervisors. So my question is, what should be the ideal dynamic or communication between two supervisors so that both are on board with the expectation? Because I probably think that it might not be as easy as it seems, knowing there's a lot of supervisors involved. And what would you suggest about, like, in regards to meeting sessions between supervisors? Thank you.
Yes. So the main I'll discuss about like what is happening back at University of Sydney. So it is kind of compulsory to have a second supervisor. There are so many reasons. Like all of a sudden, primary supervisor resign or transfer to other university, or even maybe got some problems and not anymore working. So there should be some backup. Otherwise, student will be in trouble. So there always backup supervisor as a second supervisor. So what happens here, normally what we do is like, I know my area, I know my faculty members with whom I can work. So if I'm a primary supervisor, I discuss with a student, we need a second supervisor or co-supervisor. So I invite the person who I can work with. Then that person will be secondary supervisor, but main role or main supervision role is done by primary supervisor. But at the most of the decisions are made by primary supervisor. But when writing or any publication, then second or co-supervisor's input is important. But sometimes, like, student has different ideas, and then primary supervisor may not have that expertise or second idea or second piece of work. Maybe quantitative or qualitative, for example. I'm a quantitative person. So supervisor student wants to do some qualitative part. So then we need a second supervisor. Then that particular part, then that supervisor can play a major role. So if I can manage everything myself as a primary supervisor, secondary supervisor is a backup. If I can't do anything, then they will jump in. Otherwise, if you want to do both, can 100% supervise the student, it's going to be like too many cooks spoil the soup, So he will say opposite to this, but at the end, primary supervisor's call is the final call according to our university. But as I said, the second scenario, if you really need the expertise, then primary from secondary supervisor or co-supervisor, then that person's call is final call because he's expert on that area. They understand the difference. Or else if we want third person, different expertise we both don't have, then we will get that expertise and he will make some decision on that area. So we will be kind of, but though even I'm primary supervisor, based on the expertise, I play different roles. This is our work culture. So yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Dery, for the question. Anyone else?
I think there is also a question on Zoom, but we are working on displaying it on the screen.
Okay.
Yeah. Just maybe in follow-up of the supervisory team, suppose if we ask the student to submit their work in a conference or journals, ideally it would be involving the role of all supervisors, isn't it? But is there any way to, because sometimes in a supervisory team, not all supervisors are actively motivating the students and do not have time to review their work. This is maybe more related to authorship rather than supervisory, but what is the difference between in authorship, do we have to involve all supervisors? And if they are not assuming their role as authorship, is it ethical to not include them as an author in the work of the student?
Yeah, so authorship and supervision is two different things. Then there's a clear guidelines about authorship when you're publishing that, what guideline called. So how and what are the authorship criteria to be an author? But normally in general, what we do is we get, if like for example, student want to finalize the first draft with the primary supervisor, first draft, and then if primary supervisor is agreed with all the manuscript and finalize the thing, then send it to second or course supervisor. And then if course supervisor has any comment, any suggestion, so we are not 100% ignoring the course supervisor, but we give timeline, maybe enough time, because we can't rush out one day, read the manuscript, return. No, sufficient time, and then reminders. And then if it still can't, the course supervisor can't get back to the student, because time is also important. If course supervisor taking 3-4 months to review a manuscript, then no point of waiting, put his authorship and then submit. So in sufficient time should be given, and reminders should be made by student. If no response, then I think course supervisor may not be eligible to be an author. So depend on authorship criteria and contribution, right? But most of the cases, as an academic, we understand we supervise primary as a primary. Also, we supervise as a secondary or course supervisor or auxiliary supervisor. So we understand the student needs, and then all those things we try to help the student. So it won't be the case. Always we want like healthy sort of environment. We won't do like cornering the one supervisor, because we build our team based on understanding. So we try to maintain the thing accordingly. And we don't unnecessarily invite so many supervisors, maximum 2. If needed, some expertise. If these two don't have any expertise or that particular expertise, then we invite as a third, or maybe that person can be a supervisor or can be expert on that particular piece of work, and then can be a co-author.
Is it enough, Dr. Astrid?
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Shukry. This is a question from the Zoom chat box. Maybe you read by yourself, okay? From Dr. Nofrita.
This is a critical question. So what is the perspective of the situation in which supervisors are unable to recommend a suitable team of supervisors and examiners based on their respective area of expertise due to institutional policy constraint? This is due to institutional policy aimed to ensuring an equitable distribution of supervisory responsibilities among the lecturers. According to my experience, it is kind of not kind of this piece of work distributing randomly with lecturers. So the role, like if it's like after some time, realize whatever the supervisory team unable to do the job, then it is responsibility of maybe in our faculty, we have a postgraduate coordinator and then team. Then they will have frequent meeting with the student. They will realize and then they will change the supervisor. They talk to us, talk to the student, and then finalize, okay, these supervisors are not capable of helping this student with understanding. They will invite suitable supervisor team and then ask that team to help the student if that supervisors are available, but rather not just randomly or distributing. So what I say, they will step down as from supervisor, whatever the existing team, and then with the faculty or postgraduate department or whatever institution, postgraduate, they will help the student to find suitable supervisor to carry on the work. That's it normally happens in our universities. I hope I answer your questions.
Thank you for the answer, Dr. Shukry. Okay, I think the time is still 2 minutes more. Anything? Any questions? Any more questions? Okay, Ibu Siti Rahmatul Aini, Bu Aini, please.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Widi. Dr. Shukry, based on your experiences, is there any time limit for your student to be terminated? I mean, if you found that it's you detect that they cannot continue for the research, what will you do? Thank you.
Yeah. So first, we will give 1 year. First 1 year is like a progress. After 1 year, there will be a progress review. That is we call it confirmation review. So by that time, it's early enough to detect. 1 year is enough. So we give tasks and also we give support, of course. And then by that interview, it's like a 1 hour interview with a panel. In that interview, supervisor won't be there, student, and then research faculty members. So and then they will discuss. After discussion, they will come back to us and we will discuss with them separately. And then make a decision whether it's a problem with the supervisor or problem with the student based on that. If anything can be done, for example, one of the good example, we had a student, so he was not performing anything and he was not achieving the task. Then after 1 year, this one, then unsatisfactory. So he about to eliminate, should be like expelled from the program. But then what faculty decide the problem was English. So we asked them to go intensive English course before anything. And then he was okay. And he ended his PhD with 4 or 5 publications. So we try to help them with whatever they're lacking. So there's some certain programs. So something like that we help. If no at all can't change, then there are some cases after 1 year they ask them to go back and not to continue, or maybe do something else, maybe limited to as an MPhil, not a PhD. Something according to the case by case, like they will make some decision. Yeah, there are some cases eliminating if they can't work, because some are very enthusiastic, but PhDs and like not everybody can do. It's a kind of some extra effort, extra dedication, all should be met. So if can't make it, like can't achieve those things, maybe within an year is more than enough for us to identify the case, and then accordingly we can help either, or if doesn't work, then it's better to eliminate or change the program.
Thank you, Dr. Shukry, for your answer. I have learned from Dr. Shukry about how to be a good supervisor and what should we do in a relationship between supervisor and also in a student, and what is the boundaries or the strategies to make it good. Okay, maybe we have to end of Dr. Shukry is as a last session. sampai pada acara terakhir, last session, and before I give it the time to the moderator, I want the audience give a big applause for Dr. Shukry. Thank you very much, Dr. Shukry, for your kindness and for your sharing information